Okay. All right. Good evening, board members. This is the preliminary review of the Carpinteria Farm, Preserve, and Bungalows project. So just a couple of housekeeping items. I know Brian already touched on this, but there's a couple things I wanted to add. There is some misinformation floating around that the story polls indicate that the project is a done deal. I think for the people here tonight, they know it's not, but the story polls actually indicate the beginning of the public process, and their intention of the story polls is to lay out what the size, height, locations of the proposed structures are. So that's the purpose of the story polls, to allow the public to view the project and then be able to actively participate in the process as the project moves forward, and the decision makers as well, as an informational piece. And then, like Brian already said, tonight's the first ARB meeting on this project. A decision will not be rendered this evening. And then future public meetings for the project will include the Planning Commission, the City Council on Appeal, and the California Coastal Commission on Appeal. And those bodies are decision-making bodies. And then just a reminder to be respectful to others' opinions during the public comment period, because a lot of different opinions are in the room right now. All right, and the project information. So the property consists of two parcels totaling 27.53 acres. Its planned unit development, PUD, is the land use designation and the zone district for it. And that purpose is primarily residential, but allows visitor serving and recreational uses. The project's for a 99-room hotel with amenities, an event barn, and a restaurant. A 41-unit income-restricted affordable apartment complex, which would be 40 housing units plus one manager's unit. And then a farm and open space with trails and habitat restoration. And here's the aerial photo of the project site. This is the property right here. It consists, here's the northern parcel, it's 23.4 acres. The southern parcel is down here, it's 4.13 acres. Right here's where tea time is currently. And then these are the agricultural fields back here at the organic farm. Over here is the Chevron property that's in the process of getting the permits to go through decommissioning. Here's City Hall, where we all are right now. And then over here is the Bluffs Preserve. And the 101 and Carpinteria Avenue, and obviously the Pacific Ocean. So the project history is that this project site is the last remaining privately owned property that's part of the Bluffs 1 area. And on March 30th, 2022, a similar proposal received conceptual review at a special joint meeting by the Architectural Review Board, the Planning Commission, and the City Council. And at that meeting, the main comment from all the decision makers was to reduce the size of the proposal, to cluster the buildings, and to maximize the remaining open space. And so here's a site plan from the concept proposal versus tonight's proposal. So this on the left-hand side is the concept proposal, and this is tonight's proposal. So, this is the hotel resort component here in the conceptual. Now the resort component is here. The parking lot used to be here. Now the parking lot's here, closer to Carpinteria Avenue. The residential component was originally, the first proposal was 16 units. Now it's 40 units with the manager's unit for a total of 41. And the original proposal had a farm here with above ground parking. And now they've got the farm here, this little farm area here. And then in this area is a subterranean or underground parking garage. So it's not surface parking up here for the resort. And I'll go into more detail on all these different components in just a minute. But just for comparison, this is the concept, this is tonight's proposal. And here's the actual project site plan for tonight. Now I had to turn it the other way to make it big enough to look at. This is the 101 over here in Carpinteria Avenue. So north would be on the right-hand side of the page, and south and the Pacific Ocean are on the left-hand side. So this is the residential component here. it would be 2 apartment buildings with a community center with the manager's unit up above and a little maintenance building here. The apartments would be accessed from Carpinteria Avenue here on this access road, which is also the service road for the resort, or would be the service road for the resort. Here is the underground footprint of the underground parking garage. This is a barn for the agricultural operations. This is the hotel maintenance building. And then this is the spa, which will be bermed to appear as 1 story, be green roof, bermed. And then the 2 hotel lodges. This one would have 40 rooms, this one would have 39. Here's the bungalows here. This is the main hotel building, which is like where you go to check in, and the concierge and things like that. The swimming pool or the pool cabana. And then this is the restaurant that would be open to the public. And this is the events barn that would be for resort events, weddings, and special events and whatnots. And then also available to the community for 6, proposed right now at 6 events per year. And then here's the parking lot, and they would have the solar canopies above, which I've got an elevation of those. You'll see in a minute. They're not tall. And a little farm stand here to sell produce. And then this here would be, this darker green is agricultural land, like crops. And then over here, again, this dark green is going to be agricultural farmland. And then the lighter green here is the restored open space area, which right now this is farmland, so it would be, go through habitat restoration, and then the new trails would be added that would connect into the existing trails and the bluffs. And then over here, this parcel would, they would redo relocate and redo the existing trail that runs through the property to be a 20-foot wide, ADA, flat, well done path with a new steel rookery overlook here with the live stream camera. Here, and this is part of our open space management plan, this trail. And the benefit of this is, for those of you that know the Bluffs, the trail that runs along there now along the bluff edge is it's not really accessible for everyone. It's uneven and there's holes, where the erosions happen and whatnot. So it would probably be an improvement for the public to have that nicer trail and allow more people to use it. Okay, and now we're going to focus in on just the residential. There's going to be that northern part, let me go back real quick. This northern parcel here is going to be subdivided into 3 separate lots as part of the project. So this is the parcel 1, which would contain the residential component. It's 1.58 acres. The perimeter would probably go about like this here. Like I said earlier, you'd come in off of Carpinteria Avenue. There would be solar carport canopy covered parking here, and then you would come into the actual complex itself, and there'd be a combination of parallel and regular head first parking. Again, more solar canopies right here. There's apartment building here, and then another apartment building here. These are both 2-story apartment buildings. And then this would be the community center on the 1st floor, and then the 2nd floor would have the manager's unit up above. And then here's that maintenance building. And then,
excuse me, Cindy. The parking over here, we have the blocked for any kind of sheriff's access, anybody out here parked, because they're going to be towed. So we need to clear away. I mean, got a lot of people here tonight, and if we'd known this, we probably would have had it at the middle school or the high school. But yeah, backside of the park. So does anybody in here or outside, if you're parked in the back,
It's going to be towed.
you're going to be towed. You're going to need to move your cars.
It's not a ticket, it's a tow.
Yeah.
Can we open these blinds over here? There's a bunch of people over here that can't see, and they'd like to. If we could open the blinds, please.
Sure.
The hallway full. Thank
Go
you.
ahead and if you can open the blinds, whoever's over there. So anyway, I'm sorry, Cindy, to do that, but I'd rather have people forewarned than parking illegally, so. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, there's a little door for the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can even open that sliding glass door if you want, let some fresh air
That's
in.
the fresh air.
There we go.
Thank you. Okay, Cindy, sorry, interruption, but I know we're gonna get tickets
Yeah.
or towed.
Or towed. We don't want that. Okay, so back to where I was. This is the residential component of the project. So this is the building A, which is the westernmost apartment building. And I didn't do all the floor plans and elevations like I normally do. I just focused on public views this time to try to keep this as short and sweet with all 47 slides that there are. So this is the north elevation, which would be the Carpinteria Avenue elevation of the apartment building, the most westernmost apartment building. And then this is the western elevation. So this is the side the skate park would look at. Oops, wrong way. Okay, and then this is building B. This is the easternmost apartment building. And again, the north elevation, which would be the side facing Carpinteria Avenue. And then this is the eastern elevation, which would be facing like towards the Cart Bluff Preserve, that side. And then this is the community center and managers unit. I actually realized today the plans are mislabeled. This is actually the north elevation, even though it's labeled south. But this is what you'd see from Carpinteria Avenue, and then there's the little deck for the managers unit up above, which is on the west side of the structure. And here's that little maintenance building. And then here's the solar canopy carports. They're only 8.5 feet tall, so they're not really large photo cells like we've seen on other projects. And the angle's very gentle as well. They're not very steep, as you can see from the elevation. It's a very slow pitch, shallow pitch. And then around the perimeter, including along Carpinteria Avenue, they are proposing a 6-foot tall vertical picket fence, which would look like this, and then it would have some landscaping as well. This is going to be around the whole perimeter of the residential structure. So it would go all, oops, be all around here. Well, a gate or something here, obviously, and not there, but yeah. Okay. And then parcel 2 would be 12.32 acres. And the main entrance to the resort would be here on Carpinteria Avenue. So for reference, right now, the entrance to Tea Time is over here. So it's just a little further west than the existing driveway to the Tea Time parking lot. And come in, and then you would be here to this parking lot with 68 spaces, I believe. And then again, 3 sections of them would have the solar canopy carports, just like the ones over in the residential area, 8.5 feet tall. And the little farm cart would be here. You continue up. This is the event barn. Here's the restaurant. So you would park and then walk. And if you needed help, they would have little electric cars, shuttles for people. And then this is the main hotel building, which would be where your check-in, concierge, that sort of thing. Here's the 2-story lodge, the front one that would have 40 rooms. Here's the spa again. Here's the second lodge, also 2-story with 39 rooms. One of the rooms a staff break room. That's why it doesn't have 40 rooms. And then the hotel maintenance building, and again the farm maintenance building. And this is the gray water treatment it's like a shed is what this is here. So those are just like outbuildings for the agricultural purposes. And then here's the bungalows. And the pool, or the pool cabana, and then this is the adult pool, which is just a pool. And then both of these are also fenced with the 5-foot tall vertical picket, just 5 feet tall instead of 6 feet tall, like along Carpinteria Avenue and around the perimeter. And this would have a fence too, because it's a pool. Okay, so here's the parking lot. You see it's going to be landscaped to screen it from Carpinteria Avenue. And then here's a little farm stand. This is the north elevation of the farm stand, so facing the parking lot or Carpinteria Avenue is just the back of it. The front of it, which would face south towards the ocean and the events building and whatnot, this is the front where you would walk up and buy, whatever produce. And then here's the events barn. And the events barn, the maximum height is 24.5 feet. Here, it's a single-story building, but it's got the high-pitched roof. And then this is a little covered, trellis covered porch over here. So this is the north elevation. So this is what you would see from Carpinteria Avenue. This is the east elevation. This is what from the Bluffs Preserve. That's what you see there. And then the south elevation. So, from the 4 acres, the trails on the 4 acres and whatnot is what you would see here. And then the restaurant building, again, the north elevation, that's what you would see from Carpinteria Avenue. The east elevation is what you would see from the Bluffs Preserve. And the south elevation is what you would see from the Bluffs Trail. The main hotel building, the north and south. So here's the north elevation, Carpinteria Avenue. And then here's the south elevation, which would be from the Bluffs Trail. And the lodge number 1. Now the lodges, for the resort component, the lodges are the 2 tallest buildings, 26 feet and one is 10 inches and one's 11 inches. Yeah, lodge number 1 is 26 feet 10 inches, and then this is the north elevation, the east elevation, and the south elevation. And yes, the front and back look the same, the north and south. And then here's the second lodge, and yes, the 2 lodges look the same. North elevation, east elevation, and south elevation. The only difference is the finish grade's a little different, so one is 1 inch taller than the other. And then here's the wellness spa, which is the north elevation. Now this gray area here is a berm, so the idea is to have this building be buried into the hill, or into a hillside. It'd be a manufactured hillside with a green roof. So this is the north elevation that you would see from Carpinteria Avenue, but this would be behind the residential buildings. And then this is the east elevation that you would see bits and pieces of from the bluff trails, or from the preserve trails. Here's the farm building. That's the one that's in between the resort and the residential component. Here's the north elevation. You won't really, this one, yeah, you will see this one. And then this is the east elevation that you would see from the Bluffs Preserve. And then here's the hotel maintenance building, which from Carpinteria Avenue, this is going to be behind the farm building, so you won't see so much of this one. But you would see this eastern elevation when looking across from the preserve. And again, single story, like 17 feet high. And then here's the pool cabana. It's going to have a flat roof, or would have a flat roof. And this is the east elevation, so the side from the Bluffs Preserve. And then here's the south elevation that you see from the Bluffs Trail. And then here's the bungalows. There's 4 different kinds of bungalows. There's studios, deluxe studios, 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms. And they're scattered in that little area of the bungalows. What the story poles represent is the perimeter of that cluster of bungalows. So here's the studios. All the bungalows are 12 feet and 11 inches or 13 feet tall. So they're very low in height. And here's the deluxe studio, a little bit bigger. And then the 2 bedroom. And then this is the 3 bedroom, which appears to be a 2 bedroom with a studio with connecting doors, but I'm not sure if they're going to construct it like that or not, but that's how the floor plan looks. Then these are the proposed colors and materials for the whole development, which, very organic, using the cedar siding, metal roofs, Santa Barbara stone, the, reclaimed wood where they can, and flagstone, and the, what do they call it, the yellow gravel that's popular, I can't remember the name. Yeah, California Gold, yeah. Yeah. And then here's the exterior light fixtures. Just preliminary feedback on these from you guys would be nice tonight. They're in your plans. I'm not going to go into great detail on these. Some are along the pathways within the resort. There's no lighting on the paths in the open space section. And then some hanging from the trees. Step lights, obviously, for safety. There's some landscaping pathway lights. The bungalows have these by their doors for their exterior lights. These little strip lights are in the pool cabana at the bar. And then the most common exterior light fixture for the whole development is this little light right here for exterior light. There's some can lights. And then in the events building, on their little covered, trellis covered patio, and in the farm stand, they do have these lights proposed, these little festoon lights, which do not appear to technically be night sky friendly because you can see the light bulb from the side. But those are the only ones I thought were potentially problematic, and I don't know, in the future, maybe they could be conditioned to just be turned off by, 9:30 at night or something, so that they were not a problem as long as it goes through CEQA, the biologists don't have a problem with that. Yeah. And then this is the parcel 3, the farm in the open space. It's 9.47 acres. Right here. So the remainder of the parcel. So this darker green, as we talked about before, is agricultural cropland, crops, row crops. And then this light green would be the restored habitat areas, and then the gray are the proposed trails. And then these trails would tie into the resort, trails that go through the resort, and then they would also over here tie into the Bluffs Preserve trails. And then the railroad crossing would be here to cross over to the southern parcel, which is right here. So you cross over here. The railroad crossing right now is proposed where the existing informal crossing is, and that will get sorted out as the project moves forward through CEQA and whatnot. But this is the 4 acres, and this is that new 20-foot wide accessible trail with the new seal overlook. And like I mentioned before, it'll have a live streaming camera for the rookery. And then habitat restoration here. There's a bunch of pampas grass that'll be removed, and then other habitat restoration. And I'm going to take a drink because I'm thirsty. All right. So overall, the site grading, they're proposing 47,000 cubic yards of cut and 47,000 cubic yards of fill, and want to balance it on site. So this drawing shows the cut and the fill areas. So cut is when you take soil away, for people listening. That's when you cut soil out or take it out of the ground. Fill is when you put soil on the ground. So the red areas show the cut areas, and the darker the red, the deeper the cut, basically. So right here where it's really red, this is where they're digging down to do the swimming pools. And then this is the subterranean garage. So right here would be the deepest part that they would dig. The pink is less. That's like, a foot to 4 feet of taking the dirt. So the ridge of the property is like right in here right now. So this part here would get smoothed out flat, and then dirt soil would be added down here on this part, and then also on top of the subterranean garage. So these darker purple areas are where the fill's deeper, and then the lighter purple is where it's shallower. So this could be like 2 feet, and over here it could be like 10 feet, where it's really dark, where these berms are around the spa, it's like 12 to 13 feet. So this is just showing how the dirt's going to be. It's going to be basically taken from here and excavated from here, and then spread over here to build the pads for the residential structures, and then for the main hotel structures that are in this area. And then the landscaping, restoration, and tree removal component of the project, there's 108 trees that would be removed. Most of them are along this property line right here, which is the property line between City Hall and like where the skate park is and the Tea Time property. That is the western windrow that is going to be mostly tamarisks and some eucalyptus are proposed to be removed from along this area. Other trees around the site will be removed. A couple here. The sycamores along Carpinteria Avenue are proposed to remain. The palm tree at the top of the ridge, that is going to be removed. And the cypress over here is going to be removed. The cute little cypress that looks like a Christmas tree will remain. And then some other ones along here. And then no tree removal down here on the 4 acres, 4.13 acres on the bluff. And then that western windrow, when it's removed, they're proposing to replace it with a native hedgerow. And those native hedgerow plants are oak trees, toyon, coffeeberry, holly, cherry trees, and other bushes, coyote bush. So the palette for that, although native, doesn't quite have that vertical element or the height that the existing windrow has now. So that would be something different and less of a view blocker. And then here's the story poles. Okay, so this is looking west at the residential component, the apartments right here. And then on the other side of those trees, that's like the skate park. And then here's looking southwest. This is a little bit closer to like where the little office is for Tea Time. Looking southwest at the resort structures. So this would be the main hotel building here. And then these two taller ones that you see would be the two lodges with the hotel rooms. And then this is the spa over here. So just imagine dirt being built up like that. And then in the back, if you squint, you can see the little bungalows in here. Although from this view, they would not be visible because they'd be blocked by other structures. And then it's looking southwest at the resort. I just had to pick the best story pole pictures I had with the most visible story pole flags. This is from the Tea Time parking lot looking southwest at the resort. This is the event building, where it'd be the event building here. And then this is the restaurant building here. And then, back behind you can see the main hotel building and then the bungalows. All those little ones in the back of the bungalows. And then here's from the Bluffs trail that runs parallel with the property line, about, a third or so of the way down, looking over at the resort structures. And you can see this is the restaurant here, and then the two lodges here. And then that main building's kind of in the middle there. So there's a lot of policies and objectives and policies that I discussed in the staff report. I'm not going to go into each one in detail tonight. I just picked like the main ones that I thought were the key ones for this project to think about. So in our land use element, we have our objective LU1, we've got our policy LU1D, and objective LU3, which talk about protecting our coastal resources, orderly development, ensuring that the location and intensity of land uses adjacent to any parcel designated open space or recreation or agriculture are compatible, and then to preserve the small beach town character of Carpinteria. And then the community design element, objective and policies, we have the size, scale, and form of buildings, and their placement on a parcel should be compatible with adjacent nearby properties. The design of the community should be consistent with the desire to protect views of mountains and the sea, and that's straight from the Coastal Act. We have objective CB12, which says development should fit quietly into the area's natural and introduced landscape, deferring to open spaces, existing natural features, and native and sensitive habitats. Policy CD 12A says landscaping planning shall be respectful of the natural character of the city and enhance existing native plant communities and environmentally sensitive habitat areas. And then policy CD 13A is about lighting, that lighting for development adjacent to an environmentally sensitive habitat area shall be designed to further minimize potential impacts to habitat. Because the whole Bluffs area is considered environmentally sensitive habitat. And then additionally for sub-area 6, specifically for the Bluffs from the community design element, objective CDS62, ensure that development is controlled to avoid impacts to significant view sheds, vistas, and view corridors. And then implementation policy number 57, new structures shall be low intensity and reflect the low-rise small town feel of the surrounding area. New structures shall be designed to blend into the site and the rest of the city. Implementation policy 66, all development shall be appropriately clustered to preserve open space. And then implementation policy 67, the resulting development after clustering is to be consistent with the character of the development setting and adjacent land uses in open space areas. And then implementation policy number 68, substantial buffering and screening is to be provided for the cluster development adjacent to public rights of way and preserved open space areas. And then we have from our open space recreation and conservation element, objective OSC2, preserve and restore the natural resources of the Carpinteria Bluffs. And then we have our policy OSC2I, which says to preserve all the windrow trees as part of a contiguous and naturally preserved open space system across the whole of the Carpinteria Bluffs. However, there's a caveat, and this is why they're removing the tamarisks. Down here, as you read along, it says, programs for phased removal and replacement of tamarisk windows with native tree windrows are encouraged. So that is the nexus for removing those tamarisks, because they are non-native. Wait, I'm missing a, hold on. Wait, where'd it go? Open space. Oh, okay, here we go. I just skipped over it. Okay, and then here's additional open space recreation conservation element policies. Objective OSC 13, preserve Carpinteria's visual resources. And then we have policy OSC 13G, which requires new development to protect scenic resources by utilizing natural landforms and native vegetation for screening structures, access roads, building foundations, and cut and fill slopes in project design, which otherwise complies with visual resource protection policies. And then policy OSC 13H, plans for development shall minimize cut and fill operations. Plans that do not minimize cut and fill shall be denied. And then policy OSC 13I, design all new development to fit the site topography, soils, geology, hydrology, and other existing conditions, and be oriented so that grading and other site preparation is kept to an absolute minimum. Preserve all natural landforms, natural drainage systems, and native vegetation. Require all areas on the site not suited to development as evidenced by competent soils, geology, and hydrology investigation, and reports remain as open space. Okay. And now we're down to the list of items we'd like for discussion and feedback. So, we'd like your comments on the project layout and the site design, including but not limited to the clustering, the placement, and the setbacks for the structures. Comments on the proposed earthwork and grading, the architectural styles and materials, the size, height, massing, and scale of the proposed structures in relation to their surroundings, the proposed tree removals, the landscaping and restoration plant palettes, the exterior light fixtures and night sky compliance, the visual prominence of the proposed structures within public view corridors, and neighborhood compatibility. And why is that there? What is going on with this mouse? Okay, here we go. The end. That concludes my presentation.
Well done. Well done, Cindy. Thank you very much. Got a lot to digest. Board, do you have questions for staff at this time? Yes.
Cindy, do you have a story pole plan so we can relate the story pole photographs to the actual building locations, particularly around the Carpinteria?
Yes,
Eastern side.
I included that in your Dropbox file for the ARB. I do not believe there's one in your ARB packet. Oh, yes, there is.
No, I'm just wondering for the community here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there should be an attachment to the staff report with the story pole certification and the photographs with the story pole plan in there. It would be attachment.
Well, perhaps the applicant can explain the profile of the story poles to us relative to the profile of the actual buildings. Because they don't necessarily follow. They just remember the story poles are the overall
Right.
feeling.
Microphone.
I thought it was on.
Wait,
Yeah.
My name's Richard Johnson, you know, I was born in Minneapolis. Story poles, anyway, they don't necessarily represent the shape of the building itself. So they do show the overall massing of like the apartments there on Carpinteria.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, the architecture of these structures is pretty simple. So the story poles actually are a pretty representative look of what they're proposing, because there's not a lot of relief or anything. It's very simple farmhouse style architecture.
okay, Amy? Oh,
I have 3 quick questions, I think. The previous proposal included 99 rooms, what I wrote down, and this proposal includes how many rooms?
99.
You had mentioned there was a limit on community events of 6 per year. Is that something the city has determined, or is that by the applicant?
That is what the applicant's volunteering.
And is there any information, I didn't see it on the civil plans, of the percentage of the site that is receiving grading?
I can check that for you.
Thank you.
okay. Yes. Go for Patrick. Oh. Throw it up and maybe Brian has the answer.
See who gets there first.
Okay,
You want the overall site or just the 23 acres that's the northern parcel?
I think it would make sense in the scope of the overall site, the percentage of land that is being included within the scope of grading relative to the site.
I don't have an exact number for you, but from a visual, I'm guessing it's about 50%, and I will show you how I came up with that as soon as I get to there. So this is only, the railroad tracks are here, so you still have the whole 4 acres over here. It's also on page C400 of the plans if you want to look in your plan set. And then you can see the other side, and you can visually see that it's about half of the site when you look at the 4.13 with the remainder of the balance. Thank you. You're welcome.
yes, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, hi, Cindy. Several questions. Regarding the lot and building coverage statistics in the report, there's 3 different stats that are called out. In the introduction, it refers to 121,000 some odd square feet. And then in the code table, in the lot coverage or the building coverage, it refers to 23,000. And if you add up on the second table, all of the structures, it's 174,000. Just a little bit of clarification on those different stats. Clearly, they're different references
Okay, so
to the calculations.
the 121,411 that you're referring to,
Right.
that is just the floor area of the resort structures only. And then the other one you were asking for, the one,
For the lot coverage, it calls out 23,000 in the
oh, okay, that would be the footprint of just the residential structures, because that's the building coverage, which only applies to residential structures. So it's 30% maximum for dwelling units, which would be the residential structures. So that 23,394 square feet would be the footprint of the residential structure, not the floor area, footprint, so just what's touching the ground, not both stories combined.
Gotcha.
And then what was the
The other
third?
one's, I think, self-explanatory, it's just the total of all the structures.
Oh, yeah, and that's
Right.
largely, yes.
Okay, thanks. Another question, a couple elements to it is around the factors of code compliance and the setbacks. The report speaks to the 4.3 acres not having been analyzed. Just curious, at what point in the process for the audience, when would that be analyzed from a code compliance standpoint?
The 4.13 acres, we did not analyze because there was no structural development proposed on that parcel. That's why, there were no setbacks to be reviewed because there were no structures.
Very good. And then on the setbacks, the table has quite a few TBDs around the PUD requirements. Most of the sides, with the exception of the south side being defined, and the density is also TBD. At what point would those be clarified?
So that's the nature of the planned unit development zone district, is it's very flexible and it allows the decision makers to determine the appropriate setbacks on a case-by-case basis for each specific proposal. So as you know, this project goes forward to the planning commission and your continued review, you could look at the setbacks for the structures and determine if it's appropriate or does it need to be set back further from the street, you know, or from the sides of the property or from different directions.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Richard.
Cindy, just a question. I went back to the March 22 reports.
Yes.
And in there, there was a mention that in 2014, there was an auction of the property, and the city at that time had attempted to purchase it. Have there been any other options of the city to purchase that property? Any consideration?
Not since that time. I'll defer to Nick because he's been here longer than I, but I think that was the last time the city had an option. Oh, and Nick.
Speaker issue out there.
Yeah, I think that was the last time that it was, I'm pretty sure.
Due to the property owner owing back property tax.
Right, it was like an auction
Sure.
sale, and then for whatever reason the city wasn't able to buy it, and then it went to somebody else.
Okay. And just one other kind of minor question that I had on page 9 of your write-up. It says another adults-only pool would be located in southern end. Aren't there only 2 pools, and are they both adult-only?
No,
No
so
children?
no, they're gonna allow children apparently. So this pool here, the one that's like more in the middle of the resort,
Right.
that is the all ages swimming pool. You could look at it. And then this one down here that's in the little bungalow enclave, this is the adults only pool.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, one clarification I had too, and I read it in the staff report. After the cut and fill, some of the buildings, especially closer to Carpinteria Avenue, the actual height is not going to be correct with the story poles, or are the story poles exact?
The story poles include the fill.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why the residential structures, when you like walk along Carpinteria Avenue, they look really tall because it's, you know, the 10 foot of fill plus the 27 foot, you know, to the ridge.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask the applicant to come up